Hello again, this is Jim Rooney. In this segment of the tutorial, what I want to do is walk you through a typical petition for both Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. Now, as we go through this, a couple of observations on a preliminary basis. I'm going to show you the major parts of a bankruptcy petition. After you've watched these videos, that does not mean, frankly, that you'll be able to complete a bankruptcy petition. There are all types of rules and statutes and, frankly, decisions from the judges as to how these forms need to be completed. But with that said, you need to know what a bankruptcy petition looks like. And I know that if you go to 99% of all bankruptcy attorneys, they're never going to show you this form or these forms. I don't know what the reason for that is. I think part of it might be that they want to preserve their importance and keep you dependent upon them. Maybe they want to come across as super intelligent and they know a lot of stuff that you'll never know. Whatever it is, it keeps you uninformed. And I want my clients informed. So when you go to choose a bankruptcy attorney, I hope you'll remember these videos and what you've learned. If you go to another attorney for a 20-minute interview, you'll probably find it interesting to see what fragments of information he gave you that you learned by watching these videos. There's no way in a 20-minute interview that anyone could share with you what you need to know. And that's why I have produced these videos, so that you will know. So let's get started. The last preliminary I suppose I want to say with you is you're not hiring an attorney, me or anyone else, solely because we know how to complete a bankruptcy petition. You have motions, rules of evidence, rules of civil procedure. There are all kinds of bodies of knowledge that a competent bankruptcy attorney should know in addition to knowing how to complete these bankruptcy petitions. With all that said, let's go ahead and get started. On the far left, if you'll notice, it's in re. That's where we're going to put your name, and if it's a joint petition, we'll put your wife's name there as well. It will always be last name, comma, first name, middle name, and then and last name, comma, first name, middle name for your spouse, if it's a joint petition. If neither one of you have a middle name, which is sometimes the case, then for bankruptcy purposes, we're going to give you a middle name, and it's NMI, which stands for no middle initial. Right below that, you'll see the case number. When I file your petition electronically, the bankruptcy court will assign that case number. Now, the top right of this form, and I'll get to the form in a minute, but the top right tells you whether or not you qualify for Chapter 7. If the top box is checked, the presumption arises. That means that you're not eligible for Chapter 7 and that you have filed a Chapter 7 in error. The second box, the presumption does not arise. If the form wanted to be communicative with you, that should really read, the presumption of abuse does not arise. What that means is, if that box is checked in a Chapter 7, what that means is you are not abusing the bankruptcy laws by filing Chapter 7. You have either passed one of the two tests for income, and if you will go into the part of the tutorial that talks about median income and the means test, if you've passed either one of those tests, then we're going to check that box. The presumption does not arise, the presumption of abuse. Very rarely we'll check the bottom box. The presumption is temporarily inapplicable. I've never, frankly, used that box. Now let's look at the form that we're actually looking at. Chapter 7, Statement of Current Monthly Income and Means Test Calculation. First of all, the form has nothing to do with current monthly income. So it is a very misleading title for this form. What that's doing, and what the form is doing, is looking at that income for the 6-month period not including the current month in which we file your bankruptcy petition. So the form is, the caption of it is terribly, terribly misleading. This form is 8 pages in length, and if you will go through the part of the tutorial where I discuss median income and the means test, you'll understand all of the components that you and I are going to put into this particular form. Now the form itself, if you become a client of mine, I download to you on your email all of these forms, and when you get them, I want you to print them out, and that'll be a beginning point for you and I to be doing your bankruptcy petition. If you'll notice up on the top left, it's Form B22A. Now, this form is Form B22C, and frankly, it has the identical information that's in the form for Chapter 7, except it's in a different order, has a different caption on the title, and this is what we use for Chapter 13 bankruptcy petitions. On the top right, you've got some different boxes. Let's say that you passed either the median income or the means test. Well, that means you can file for a Chapter 13 petition, and you can have a 3-year plan. So that's the box that ideally we would want to check. Now, if you did not pass either of those tests, then you, on a mandatory basis, your Chapter 13 plan will have to be for a 5-year period. And the second part of it is, on the bottom 2 boxes, disposable income is determined under 1325B3. If we check that box, that means that you are going to have to pay at least something during the 5-year period to your unsecured creditors. If we check the bottom box, disposable income is not determined under 1325B3, then we can file your Chapter 13 plan, and you're not going to be statutorily required to pay your unsecured creditors anything. Now, before I get off these boxes, let me point out something else to you. If the applicable commitment period is 3 years and we check that box, when we do down below your Chapter 13 plan itself, we can still use a 5-year period if you want to. So, you know, all these boxes get a little confusing at times. The interesting part, that Form B22C has the same information as B22A, except it's in a different order. This form also is 8 pages in length. When we do your bankruptcy, you're going to have to provide me with your wage statements for that 7-month period. If you were unemployed during part of that 7-month period, then we'll have to fill a form out like this for you for the months that are applicable, where you didn't have any income. Now, if either or both of you are not employed at all, let's say the wife doesn't work or she's on Social Security, then we'll fill a form, this form out for that spouse. So I will change this form. This form, when you see it produced by me, will be different because I supplement it with additional information.